All right, so there's a central question we have to deal with in this course, which is the question of what the humanities actually are. I mean, this is an African humanities course, and that's a term which a lot of people don't really understand all that well. If you ask people what the humanities are, they might be inclined to just say, well, they're a set of disciplines, philosophy, history, things of that nature. It's very hard to actually answer the question of what the humanities are, and it's even harder within an African context. So let me tell you a little bit about what I think the humanities are for our purposes. When we talk about the humanities in a Western setting, we're often referring to the liberal arts tradition of disciplines, like I say, like philosophy, history, religious studies, and so forth. Sometimes we include the arts in that group, painting, sculpture, architecture, those sorts of things. The question is, what do these things have to do with each other? Mostly they all focus on human meaning. Its creation, its analysis, its replication. When I use the term humanities, I mean two things by it. I mean that we're talking about thought and we're talking about expression. The humanities is always about some thought, concepts, narratives, models, philosophies that attempt to encapsulate human meaning in some way. We have plenty of these. Think of something like freedom, for example. That's a concept, and we might be inclined to think that it just has a meaning, but the fact is that it has different expressions and different senses around the world. I mean, what freedom means in the United States with its history of revolution and slavery and civil rights and things of that nature is not necessarily what it means in, let's say, apartheid South Africa or post-apartheid South Africa or some other country. It's not what it means in England. You have all sorts of different kinds of expressions of this central idea that frankly add to the world's richness, add to the world's different senses of what freedom actually means. It doesn't always come just from one place, in other words. So if something just remains as a thought, we might be inclined to think that it's just a unified single thing, and we might be inclined to think furthermore that we're just doing some version of philosophy. In the humanities, though, the expressions of thought are always crucial. And by expressions, I mean every kind of expression. Literary, artistic, architecture is a form of expression. We create meaningful things in human culture. And cultures are meaningful in specific ways because their concepts are meaningful. So some of these creations are artistic, like I say, but we create lots of other things too. We create technology. We create fashion. We create cuisine. All of these sorts of things are really part and parcel of us understanding the central concepts of who we are and what matters to us. So there's a reciprocal relationship between thought and expression. Our thoughts don't just remain abstract, they become concrete. And they don't just come out of nowhere. They come from our expressions. We create ideas, which create thoughts, which create things, which create more ideas that goes back and forth. All of these things together give us the meaningful world in which we live. And you know that this is true every time that you go to another culture and you realize that you have to work at understanding that culture. The things that they have are not immediately obvious to you in the ways that they think about the world. Doesn't mean that they're wrong. Doesn't mean that you're right or they're right or whoever. It's not about right or wrong. It's about a kind of difference that is encapsulated in the forms of life that we have. So when we talk about the humanities in Africa, we are really talking about something like that. That's what we are looking at. What are the salient concepts? What ideas matter to people? And how do they matter? What are the expressions that have currency? How do concepts and expressions relate to each other? That's what we're really after in this course. That's what humanities is going to mean for us.